Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2024 movie titled The Killer's Game. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead. The movie opens at an opera house in Budapest. Hitman Joe pretends to be a normal theatergoer while keeping an eye on his target and the bodyguards that protect him. Once everyone is in their seats and the show begins, Joe makes his way upstairs. Minutes later, a bodyguard notices a shoe behind a curtain and checks it out, but it's a trap by Joe, who suddenly kills him with a knife and hides the body behind the curtain. Joe moves through the corridor and shoots the other bodyguard before finding his target at the balcony. The man offers to pay triple the amount of his current payment, but Joe turns him down and shoots him in the head. He asks the guy's date to stay silent, and the woman runs away. Then he looks at the stage, and for a second he meets the eyes of Maze, the star of the show. He decides to leave, but on his way out, he starts having a headache and feeling dizzy. Downstairs, another bodyguard sees the woman run away and tries to contact his boss. When he gets no answer, he rushes to investigate and finds all the bodies. At that moment, the security team sees him with a gun and gets ready to arrest him, so the bodyguard opens fire. He only manages to kill one officer because the other hides to call for help. Next, the bodyguard hides in the balcony, and when the officer comes after him, he gets shot through the door. Suddenly all the lights are turned on in the theater, and the bodyguard decides to jump off the balcony, landing in the middle of the stage. The dancers and the public immediately panic and begin to run away while another officer appears at the balcony to shoot down the bodyguard from afar. Maze is running away with the others only for the panicking crowd to accidentally push her to the ground, making her drop her phone and stomping on her hand and feet in the process. At that moment, Joe sees her and picks her up, together with her phone, to take her outside. As soon as he puts her down, he starts having a headache again, so he waits for Maze to get distracted and disappears. When he gets home, Joe realizes he still has Maze's phone. He takes some medicine and tons of alcohol before going to bed. The next day, Joe goes to see the doctor, who runs a bunch of tests and theorizes Joe may be suffering the effects of years of head trauma. The test results will be ready later, but the doctor already advises Joe to start thinking about getting a new job. Afterward, Joe visits his handler and close friend Zvi, who also thinks Joe needs a vacation and to meet someone special. After lots of hesitation, Joe goes to the dance studio to give Maze back her phone. She's very grateful and gives him her number while flirting with him. On his way out, Joe throws the number in the trash, but he quickly regrets it and takes it back. In the evening, he very awkwardly texts Maze, and they agree on a date. They end up having dinner together and have a wonderful time, although Joe never reveals his real job. For the next few days, Joe divides his time between dating Maze and doing more mercenary missions in different places like France, Romania, Austria, and Switzerland. His relationship with Maze grows serious, and they start spending their nights together. Sadly, the headaches never stop, and the medicine isn't as effective anymore. When the test results are finally ready, the doctor has bad news for Joe. He has a neurodegenerative brain disorder. There's no cure for it, which means Joe only has 3 months left to live. Stuck in a state of shock, Joe turns down the doctor's offer of palliative care and therapy. Instead, he goes home and starts researching the illness online. There are many videos of people losing control of their limbs and information confirming there's no cure. Joe grabs a gun and considers ending things, but he reminds himself to think of Maze. He opens a secret safe in the floor and takes out all his money, then he grabs all his weapons and throws them in the river. The following day, Joe goes to see Zvi and says he wants to offer $2 million for his own head. He would have self-deleted, but life insurance won't pay for that, and he wants Maze to get the insurance money. However, Zvi refuses to put a contract on his best friend, no matter how much he pays. Afterward, Joe goes to see Antoinette, who also used to be an assassin, and nowadays she works as a handler. Her bodyguard is Max, a killer known for his brutality. Antoinette has a personal grudge against Joe because he killed her father, even though he mentored him, so she's delighted to put a contract on his head. Since Joe still has a few things to do, he asks her to activate the mission at midnight. After Joe leaves, Antoinette checks the assassin app to choose the hitmen for this mission. First, she contacts Lovetal, who is in Switzerland finishing a different contract. When he sees the message, he turns the mission down, saying $2 million isn't worth it. Next, the message goes to Goyang and his gang, who are at a karaoke bar in Prague. The gang has been hiding as workers all along, and now they reveal themselves to kill their targets in just a few seconds thanks to teamwork. Goyang is happy to accept Joe's contract. Just in case, Antoinette also sends it to the Langos brothers, who are killing a guy by tying him to their bikes and pulling at the same time to split his body. That night, Joe meets with Maze, unaware Max is following them. Joe breaks up with her, and Maze gives him one last kiss before leaving in tears. Then Joe goes home and starts drinking while recording a message for Maze with the whole truth. He intends for it to arrive after his death, however, he presses the wrong button and sends it now before it's done. While Maze hears the message, Joe gets a call from his doctor, who drops big news: Joe's test results got mixed with another patient's. He isn't going to die, in fact, he's perfectly healthy, and he could live a long life. There are only 5 minutes left before midnight, so Joe gets a trap ready. Soon Go Young and his gang arrive and use cigarette smoke to reveal the laser sensor at the entrance. They easily dodge it and go further inside while Joe speaks from his hiding spot, saying he's canceling the contract. However, Go Young insults him and reminds him contracts should be honored. A gang member follows the voice into the bathroom, where Joe is waiting to fight. The guy is very good at martial arts, but Joe easily overpowers him and throws him through a glass wall. Next, a woman with an axe slashes his back, only for Joe to push her down on the broken glass and drag her throat on the shards to kill her. The previous guy gets angry and attacks again, but when he tries a special kick, Joe breaks his leg, then he throws him through the wall. Next, another gang member attacks Joe with a sword, triggering another fight. After exchanging a few hits, Joe grabs the man's arm to break it and disarm him. Then he kills him by throwing him against a column. The last gang member comes after Joe with 2 big blades, and after lots of missed hits, she manages to stab Joe on his shoulder. He's capable of continuing to fight like this and punches the woman extra hard, causing her to lose a bunch of teeth. The only one left is Go Young, who throws a knife at Joe's leg, only for Joe to kill him with the blade from his shoulder. After lighting Go Young's cigarettes as goodbye, Joe leaves the apartment and activates a trap, blowing up his home and killing the toothless woman. Her body is ejected through the window and lands on the gang's car, making it explode as well. On the street, Joe uses Go Young's phone to call Antoinette, saying he's canceling the contract, but she can keep the money. Antoinette gets furious because she still wants revenge for her father and announces she'll be doubling the reward. Hearing some bikes approaching, he enters an old building and is surrounded by the Langos brothers, who do tricks with their bikes to attack. Joe manages to dodge a few, but most of their attacks keep bringing him down. Luckily he finds a pipe nearby, and the next time a brother comes after him, he hits him with it to throw him off the bike before stepping on his head to kill him. The other brother yells in anger and speeds up, only for Joe to kick the bike's front wheel and send him flying. Now Joe can steal the bike to escape. Meanwhile, Antoinette sends the mission to the best hitman in Europe. Lovetal is still in Switzerland having fun with women, but when he notices that the reward is now 4 million, he finally accepts. In Scotland, the Mackenzie brothers also accept the mission and celebrate by breaking beer bottles on each other's heads. In a dirty club in England, the party girls pretend to be dancers to kill all the clients with weapons cleverly hidden in their small clothes. A client tries to fight back, but the girls are good fighters and easily bring him down. In Spain, a group of criminals is getting some happy powder ready to sell, but they're interrupted by Batash, who uses dance steps and knives in his boots to kill all the men in the room with impressive skill. Meanwhile, Joe goes to see Zvi, who uses glues to take care of his wounds. Since Zvi is just a handler, he doesn't have any guns, he can only offer Joe some leftover explosives from another job. Zvi's wife volunteers to help too and gives Joe a very thorough massage that includes cracking his neck. This instantly causes Joe's headache, dizziness, and double vision to stop. Soon Lovetal arrives in Budapest by train, and Antoinette sends him all the information she has on Joe, including Maze's location. She also sends her cousin money to pick Lovetal up. They go to Maze's building and surround her on her way out. Maze immediately kicks money down, so Lovetal knocks her out with a punch to kidnap her. In the morning Joe travels to an old castle in the countryside, and Max quickly learns about it. The information is sent to all the hitmen, who hurry to that location. However, this is on purpose, Zvi leaked the intel as part of their plan. At the castle, Joe gets all his weapons ready. The Mackenzie brothers are the first ones to arrive. They enter the castle, and Joe throws a grenade at them before coming out to fight. At first Joe does well against just one brother, but when the siblings team up, they manage to grab him and kick him into a set of armor. Joe takes the armor's gauntlet and uses it to fight again, throwing more powerful punches. However, their teamwork continues to bring Joe down. Suddenly the brothers start having a dumb argument, and Joe uses the chance to activate one of his traps. He pulls a rope to bring down a chandelier and trap one of the brothers, who gets pushed toward a deer head and is instantly impaled. Then Joe takes a piece of antler and fights the other brother again, exchanging a few hits before stabbing him to death. At that moment the party girls come in with open fire, so Joe uses the dead guy's body as a shield to run into another room. The girls throw a grenade, but Joe dodges it and uses the brother's gun to fire back. Soon another grenade comes, and this one does hurt him before he manages to hide. The gunfight continues, and Joe runs out of bullets, so one of the girls tries to approach him. She accidentally steps on a trap, and the resulting explosion brings her down. Joe immediately drags her body to a corner and activates her grenades before throwing her at another woman so that the explosion kills them both at the same time. Joe manages to steal their gun before the explosion sends him flying through a door. Batash is waiting for him and quickly disarms him before putting on his earbuds so the music can guide his moves. A hand-to-hand fight ensues, and Batash is such a great warrior that he easily can keep up with Joe. They keep throwing each other all over the room, and Batash hurts Joe with his boots, so in return Joe makes him lose the earbuds. Since punches are doing nothing, they grab a pair of swords to keep on fighting. After a few minutes, Joe manages to disarm Batash, who finds a gun and opens fire. Joe runs to hide behind a table and activates another trap that blows Batash up, only leaving his boots behind. Outside, Lovedal's group arrives, and he immediately guesses this is a trap because he sees all the hitmen's vehicles at the entrance. Lovedal tells Money to watch over Maze while he goes to investigate. As soon as Lovedal is out of sight, Maze says she needs to stretch her legs and manipulates Money into letting her leave the car. Then she pretends to fall and grabs a branch to knock Money out. Meanwhile, Lovedal calls Joe using Maze's phone and offers to free her if Joe hands himself in. They're forced to hang up when Max arrives with a whole armed team. They enter the castle and begin looking around while being careful to avoid any traps. Joe is hiding in the shadows and activates an explosive that brings down half the team. Then Joe sneaks around to stab a soldier and take his gun, using it to kill the other guys in the room and escape through the back door. Lovedal is waiting for him in the garden and makes him drop the gun. Before they can reach a deal, Maze appears in Money's car and runs over Lovedal before opening the door for Joe. The couple escapes together while Max's remaining men try to open fire to no avail. On the road, Joe finally tells Maze everything about the illness mix-up and his real job. He explains he kills criminals and not civilians. He also swears he's retiring. Maze is glad to hear that because she's pregnant. As they agree to work things out, Maze passes out, and Joe discovers a bullet wound in her neck. He decides to ditch the car and carries Maze to the nearest building, which happens to be a church. Thankfully, the bullet only grazed Maze's body, and she quickly wakes up. Joe is so relieved that he asks her to marry him, and she agrees. The local priest is skeptical because they don't have a marriage license, there are no witnesses, and neither of them is Catholic. In the end he agrees to do it if they give confession. The poor priest ends up horrified to hear all of Joe's assassinations, but when Joe explains he wants a second chance in life to be a father, the priest agrees to give him redemption as long as he swears to retire. The humble ceremony begins, and Joe uses a grenade pin as a ring. They're interrupted by Lovedal, who opens fire. Joe tackles Maze to save her, and the priest is shot instead. Suddenly a grenade is thrown inside the church, and the explosion causes enough smoke for Joe and Maze to escape with the priest. The explosive came from Max, who starts arguing with Lovedal over whose contract this is. While in the back room, the couple takes care of the priest's wound, and Lovedal opens fire and manages to bring a few of Max's men down. Joe soon comes back and shoots a few soldiers down as well. Grenades keep falling and exploding, which start a small fire. When Lovedal tries to fight a soldier hand-to-hand, Max throws another explosive that makes a scaffolding fall and trap Lovedal. Max then starts searching the church, killing his last man because he's injured. Joe tries to surprise him from behind, and they end up in a standoff, only for Joe to discover he's run out of bullets. Max announces he's won, but before he can shoot, Maze blows up his head first. In the meantime, Antoinette gets her things ready to leave the country. Zvi shows up to announce she broke the rules just like her father and shoots her in the head. Sometime later, Joe and Maze have a proper wedding with the now recovered priest and all their friends. Joe is ready to start his life as a retired man, but Maze realizes raising a kid is very expensive and tells her husband to maybe do a couple more jobs. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.